All right. Welcome to another episode of Free to Speak with Bobby and Paul. I'm Bobby, and this is Paul. And we haven't said in quite a while, Paul, you're a practicing clinical psychologist in Uganda and specializing in trauma.
And I've built some experience in addiction as well.
And I'm a retired academic. I used to be in the university, at a university in the United States, focusing on evaluating science education projects, the effectiveness of those projects and programs. And came to Uganda a little over a couple years ago, married my wife Sharon, and you and I started doing this show, this podcast, I guess you can call it, in March of 2024, so last year. So we've been doing this now for almost a year and a half. It's going to be
18 months.
Yeah. So it's been a good run. We've had some interesting conversations. I think our episodes have been getting a little better. We had the talk with Fred, which we did our first time we brought a guest on a couple of weeks ago. And then we also had a chat discussion with Miriam and Buzz, who, with their website, What Would Female Fetuses Say, a week before that. And we had an episode dedicated to that. And then last week we did an episode that we weren't really planning to do, but just kind of current events kind of dictated that we go in that direction. And we talked about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And we did get several comments, Paul. So I don't know, do we want to talk about some of the comments
Sure.
that we received? I have my laptop here, and I'm wearing my old glasses by mistake, so if I had brought my new ones, I'd be able to see better. And then even though this is a really expensive laptop, I've always had trouble with the mouse, so I can't get it to work half the time for some reason. So one interesting comment that we had, which you commented about that you appreciated the feistiness of it. We had somebody write, "You poor idiot. You go to mainstream media for truth. There's the problem." And you and I both responded to this comment. Like I said, you responded that ironically you appreciate the feistiness of this comment. And then I responded, well, please dialogue with us. Tell us more specifically where you think we went wrong and what we could have done differently. So I'm not exactly entirely sure what this person is referring to, except that the only thing I can think of is at the very beginning, there's two possibilities with what this person could be responding to. One is at the very beginning of the video, when I talked about how I discovered that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, I just randomly came across the video on TikTok. I was scrolling through TikTok, video comes up, I thought it was AI, but then to get confirmation, I went to the mainstream news media sources to find out if it was true, was he really shot? But then there was all kinds of confusion because nobody seemed to know what was going on. People are saying, well, he's in the hospital, he's in surgery, what's going on? And then it comes out that he's dead, and there was a lot of contradictory information out there. And so maybe he's saying you shouldn't have gone to the mainstream media news sources for information because you're not going to get reliable information there. Or maybe he's talking about the fact that all throughout, and we were talking about people getting canceled from their jobs over the posts they're making about Charlie Kirk, rejoicing over his death and so forth, that I was reading mainstream media news articles. And I'm not sure which one he was talking about.
I would think of the former, but then the question would be, okay, if you're not going to get news from the mainstream, well, where should you get it? Yes, I know we have all sources.
Alternative.
But much as we know that the mainstream might be biased and not give reliable information, they are almost the official sources of information. So eventually you still have to check on what they're saying and compare with what the other people are saying.
Right.
That's what I would think.
I guess because I've kind of learned that even though the mainstream media can be wrong, and they are oftentimes wrong, if you see something on TikTok, there's so much more false information there that you can't just believe whatever you see. But you can't do that with anything. You can't do it with the mainstream media. You can't do it with TikTok. You can't do it with alternative news sources. But what you can do is have a balance. You can check what you see in one source with other sources. So you can check what you see on TikTok with what you see in the mainstream news media. You can check what you see on mainstream news media with what you would see on independent or alternative news sites, because independent and alternative news sites will remove the biases. And so maybe you can get a better picture of what's happening from independent news sources or from alternative news sources, because the bias will be removed. But generally speaking, the mainstream news media is going to be accurate on events. They just may not be accurate on the details or on the interpretation of events. But the mainstream media, I found, is pretty accurate on reporting the actual event. So, for example, Charlie Kirk's been assassinated or somebody shot him. They'll be accurate on that, but then
they can twist the narrative, they can twist the explanation.
They can twist the narrative,
but then
they get the details wrong.
The event is what it is, and I think that's something credible from there. So you cannot find a mainstream source saying someone is dead when they are not. Whereas if you follow around other people who are struggling to get there, they will follow it. They'll report false information just for people to get a following. So,
right. Yeah. So, and speaking of,
I like how the comment again. Can you?
The comment is, "You poor idiot. You go to mainstream media for truth. There's the problem."
Poor. What does the poor idiot mean? Anyway,
you poor idiot.
I guess so. I guess when I read, I just laughed. I like the tone. I'm like, oh my god.
So, and I think the thing is, I want to thank maybe people out there. It seems like we got a lot of new people who hadn't responded to us before, and so we've had the most comments on this video than we've had from any other video. And so while we're responding to your comments, and it's possible we may disagree with some of your comments, we appreciate everybody who did comment.
And of course, we are free to speak, so you speak what you want.
And that's what we want. We want people to dialogue with us. We want you to say, we don't censor comments here unless if you threaten somebody or if you promote something illegal, maybe we'll censor that. But we're not going to censor you for the things that you said, for the ideas that you expressed. We're not going to delete your comments. YouTube might, because we've had people comment. We've had people comment on our videos before where YouTube has deleted or removed their comments. So that has happened several times. And they've also blocked comments. Like Miriam was not from when we did the one we talked to with the What Would Female Fetuses Say blog site. YouTube didn't even allow her comments to appear on our videos. So YouTube censors, we don't censor.
Okay.
So we want to thank this person for this comment, but we want to also offer this person the opportunity to provide some more clarity and maybe where you think we could have done better.
Yeah, sure.
So, All right. A second comment. We also received a comment from, this is another new commenter who hasn't commented before. Charlie was allowed to say whatever he wanted, and I believe these people getting fired are also free to say whatever they want. It's called free speech. It's hypocrisy.
First, I would say, when you say Charlie was allowed to say whatever he wanted, the question is, was he?
Was he? That's an interesting question.
Was he allowed? Because if he was allowed, he wouldn't be here.
He would be here, He lost his life for free speech. And these other people are only losing their jobs. They still have their lives.
Yeah, so clearly he wasn't allowed. But I also get the tone that's coming from, yes, there could seem to be some level of hypocrisy. But I think some time ago we talked about freedom. And he said absolute freedom leads to absolute chaos.
Yes, we did.
You can't have freedom which has no limits. You know, so
Correct.
you can't just be allowed to say things that are threatening people's lives, or mocking someone who has just died. That doesn't make sense.
Well, I think a couple things maybe to add to that.
Yeah.
I think, for example, back in the 1970s when I was young, in the United States, it was still culturally acceptable for white people to say the N-word. And I think one of the things that you and I talked about is you can say the N-word, but I can't. And I actually like the fact that I can't say the N-word. Like even now, I'm saying the N-word. I won't say the word.
Which one?
You go ahead and say it.
I know. All right.
But you can say, you've said it before on our videos, but you can say it and I can't. I actually like the fact that in America today, it's not acceptable to say that word. And if you say that word, there will be cultural consequences for that. You can get fired from your job. There's all kinds of consequences that you're going to face. It's not illegal in the United States for a white person to say that word. But there will be cultural, or maybe not cultural, there will be societal consequences that you will face for saying that word. And there have been. People have lost their jobs because they've said that word. And when I was a kid growing up in the 1970s, I hated the fact that word was all over the place. And I hated that word. It became one of the most hated words for me when I was growing up, and I would hear people using it. And I've seen how culture has changed. Now I'm married to a black woman. If we have kids, I don't want my kids to grow up in a society where people can say that word, And in the same way, I don't want to live in a culture where people can openly celebrate somebody's murder and assassination. I don't want to grow up in a society where that can happen with no consequences. Okay, I know in the U.S. it's not illegal to celebrate somebody's death. You're not going to go to jail. The police aren't going to show up at your door and arrest you. But let's think about this logically for a second. So about a year ago, there was an assassination of a CEO. He was an executive with United Healthcare. He was assassinated, and people celebrated his death. Okay, then you had Trump's been attempted. There's been 2 assassination attempts on Trump.
One was very close.
And one should have got him, but he turned right at the last second, and that's what saved his life. Now you have Charlie Kirk. What if we lived in a society in which it was unacceptable to celebrate somebody's death? What if we lived in a society where the people who celebrated the death of that CEO last year faced consequences so that people know this is not acceptable? Because here's what happens. If you have somebody who's a little bit off the rails, who will assassinate somebody, he thinks he's the hero because people are saying, look at how this guy got this CEO of United Healthcare, or look how somebody almost got Trump. They got something in the background here, but I'm not sure what that is.
That's okay. Yeah. That's an ice cream guy.
Ice cream guy. Yeah, let's go get some ice cream.
I think you guys have the ice cream.
Yeah, we do.
Like a long ago. Make sound. It's the same nice.
Yeah.
I think I've seen it in
close
the
to it. Man, it's more musical, but that's a little less musical than what I used to. But so what'll happen is he's going to think, I'm going to be the hero if I take this guy out because people are going to celebrate me. That's why this is so dangerous. That's why we can't live in a culture where people celebrate somebody's death. Yes, it's free speech. Yes, the police are not going to show up and arrest you. But if you're going to be the kind of person that's going to celebrate somebody's death, I don't want to work alongside you.
It's kind of vindictive. It kind of vindicates the person, even while they're being incarcerated, and they hear that people are celebrating what they did. They feel vindicated. They feel justified. They feel like actually they did the right thing.
Yeah.
And another person who has a similar idea would still be motivated.
Emboldened.
Like, okay, I can also do it.
Yeah.
I can also do the same thing. After all, a bigger part of the society will feel like I did the right thing.
Yeah.
So some people will actually sacrifice themselves to be the martyrs to do the same work.
Yeah.
So in essence, by celebrating, you're promoting this bad behavior, and telling people, no, it's actually okay, when it's actually not okay. The day it's in your house is the day you realize it's not okay.
And I completely understand what this poster is saying. I understand the free speech issues, and again, we're not criticizing any of the people. We appreciate everybody who responds to our video, and we understand. But I think this is consistent. Our position is consistent with what we've said in the past, because we're not free speech absolutists. We don't believe that free speech means that you can say whatever you want. We believe that free speech means you can express any idea. But we also in the past talked about how I don't think I should be allowed to say the N-word. And you even talked about, we had one video where you talked about a reporter who got expelled from Uganda because he was saying, like, asking some inappropriate questions to
the Prime Minister.
To the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And, okay, you just can't come in and just say anything. You have to be credible. You have to be
emotional intelligence.
There's actually it's a comedian, stand-up comedian who commented about this. And I wanted, maybe we could listen. His name is Ben Barkis. Ben Barkis. Should we listen to?
How long is it?
It's about, it's about a minute.
Yeah, I can play.
A minute. It does have some strong language in it, though. But he basically commented about the people who are being fired from their jobs. And you can hear, like, when you hear this video, when you hear it, like, he's in a large auditorium, so the place is packed. And you can kind of hear this muffled laughter, like not everybody is laughing because maybe he's kind of hitting hard some of the people in the room, and he's hitting them and they're not laughing. They don't find, they're just kind of like stunned by what he's saying, because the laughter is kind of muffled, you know. But I'll play it and we'll listen to what he says, because it's very,
some of the things you know that happen in the States, watching over from here in Uganda, events in the US just feel like a movie. Like, it
feels like a movie to me.
Yeah, it feels like a movie, like, people defending they shouldn't be defended, people talking about things that don't make sense, and then we make a big deal out of them, and there are all these debates. It's just a movie. I think over here, when we watch these things, the simple Ugandan, the uneducated one, when they see these things, they just can't comprehend. I think the society has grown so much, maybe into overthinking, and then too much. I think it is too bad. It's not good where too much intelligence has become a problem.
Yeah. Too much intelligence. What is too much intelligence?
Not intelligence, maybe too much wit. The more Americans have grown and done research and studied and become smart, per se, or overthinking. I've forgotten. I can't get the word clearly. Exposure, I guess.
Exposure.
Like being too exposed, you find that we're too open-minded. We find that we are too, we accept everything, and then we defend things that don't even make sense.
Americans do. They defend things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm
they
talking
defend
about
things that
Americans.
don't make sense. Yeah.
So, like, for us, when you see this from here, it's like a movie. You're like, no, really. Some of these things do not make sense. Now, they go way beyond understanding that this person is sick, and they even try to normalize it. And oh my God, like, America is just a nice movie.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to. There we go.
Why are all the leftists online who are celebrating the death, the political assassination of Charlie Kirk? They're celebrating. Why do they all look like that?
Looks like
Like the guy that shouted out. Charlie Kirk.
Why are their eyes so wide open? But it's scary because it doesn't, what are you supposed to fucking do with these people? Because it's like, they want to kill people. But you're not allowed to want to kill them.
Yeah.
They can just, they can scream and shout, good, I'm glad that happened. And it's like the most we can do is get them fired. And that's not even that fun because their jobs are all shit. Motherfuckers on X right now, like, I just got 300 people fired from Wendy's. No, there's a lot of educators that are fucked up too. I don't know if there's any professors in here, teachers. That's a damn shame because they could have learned something tonight.
So there's that. And there was a couple interesting things that he said. He said they want to kill people, or maybe they don't want to be the ones doing it, but they want somebody else to kill them. But you can't want to kill them. So, like, how do they feel if it's reversed? And here's, I think, the problem with what has led to this assassination culture that's on the left. Because we talked about this last time.
Yeah.
About how about 50% of people that are left of center, in a poll that Charlie Kirk talked about several months before his death, said, or the polls found that approximately half of people that lean left feel that it's at least somewhat justifiable to murder Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And since Charlie's death, there's been another poll that's been released that's found that 24% of people who are extremely liberal believe that, and I got to get the wording right. I don't know if it was, is it okay to celebrate? I think it was, is it okay to celebrate the death of your political enemies or political opponents? And it was something like that, but the exact wording. It wasn't necessarily a question about, is it okay to kill them, but is it okay to celebrate their death? 24% of people that were extremely liberal said that it is. Only 3% of those who were extremely conservative said the same thing. So for people who want to say that this is a both sides argument, it's actually not, because it's far more extreme and far worse on the left than it is on the right. Because when Melissa Hortman was assassinated a few months ago, conservatives weren't on the internet celebrating her death. And here's the thing, I know that people will talk about George Floyd and how some conservatives said some things about George Floyd when that happened. But here's the thing about that. Most of those people face consequences. They were fired from their jobs for saying things like that. And so why is, and liberals supported that, so why would they think that it's okay to celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk when they objected to when people did say things about George Floyd? And even the things that were said about George Floyd, most of the people who were conservative even were critical of those kind of comments. Because I don't believe you should ever celebrate somebody's death. But the fact of the matter is, even on the right, there's still 3%. But it's not in the mainstream. What we're talking about is this problem with assassination culture or with celebrating the death of your enemy is a much, much bigger problem on the left than it is on the right. Yes, it's a problem on the right, but it's smaller. Much, much smaller on the right.
Yeah, so like we discussed last week, the left has been so scheming, or they've been so sneaky in weaponizing civilians or the public against to do their dirty work, whereas ordinarily would be saying, okay, there's this person who ordered for a hit to Charlie Kirk, and this person is so and so, and maybe they're a politician. You won't hear that. Why? Because they've really done their work so well. Weaponize the unsuspecting simpletons to do your work. So when you preach enough hate, then people will act on their own, people will act in a way that they feel convicted to do things without you even ever telling them it. You can condemn them after, you can denounce them after, but the job you've done in preaching hate eventually will be paying dividends, you know? I think that's what has been done. So people who are unwitting, who are unsuspecting, have been equipped to do the dirty work of people at the top. You know, say if you call someone a fascist, if you call someone a Nazi, you call someone a monster or whatever, or a predator, and you try to say all these very extreme ways of describing someone, then there are people who will develop sentiments of hate towards this person, and rather when they feel like, if I take out this person, I'm saving the society, I'm saving the community. So they feel like they're doing a job of cleansing for the greater good. So eventually you even have others doing it and coming out, you know, without even having to. You don't even need investigations to get them. I feel we reach a point where people take out others and they come out proud, and they kind of look at themselves like martyrs. You know, like we had suicide bombers among the Arabs, where someone says, if I kill these infidels, I'm going to Jannah. So they are actually so proud they're going to do it, and they don't care. So they don't care if they die in it. So I feel like this is something that is going to happen, or it's already happening. You find that you've weaponized unsuspecting dimwits, and then the indoctrination becomes so strong that they can do your work without you ever meeting them in person or even telling them what to do. And when they do it, you come out and condemn them halfway, but then vindicate them in another way by saying, okay, but anyway, this person is also doing this. So you are telling people to do bad things without actually telling them directly. I think that's what the left has done, you know, and that's why you find that many of these high-profile attempts or successes of assassinations have been on people on the right.
Yeah, I think maybe a couple other things to address before we go on to the next comment. We have some more comments to talk about, but because of the fact that many people on the left think that silence is violence and words are violence, so that if you're silent about something, that's the same thing as violence. If you're silent on something they think you should speak up about, or if you speak words, that's another form of violence. You know, and that's why they talk about safe spaces, because you're being safe from these words that are violence to them. And so if you think that words are violence, then you think that it's justifiable to respond with real violence.
Yeah, but words are not exactly just words, because if I want to turn you against someone, I'll use words, and if my words are sweet enough and they are appealing enough, you flip, you know. So propaganda is set with words, you know, and indoctrination happens when people use words. So as innocent as words might seem, especially coming from a point of free speech, they are not exactly, you know, that innocent, because these are the things that are turning people's ideologies of life, our values, were influenced by words.
I don't believe people should be able to say, white people should say the N-word. I don't believe you should be able to celebrate somebody's death. Those things have consequences. What I'm talking about is, by words, I mean the expression of ideas. That people have this idea that to express ideas that you find offensive is the same thing as violence.
And where I was coming from when I said, you know, the comments we hear, some of them are half coming from a point of empathy, but also the other half, they make sure there's a vindictive speech to the people, the perpetrators. If I gave you the video of Obama recently, what he was saying, and he condemned what happened, yes, but in his speech there was a lot of buts.
Should we listen to it?
Yeah, I guess.
Do you want to listen? We bring that up too?
He was kind of like rebuking what happened, but there's too many buts. So in a sense that if I'm the person who is already following the guy is called Robinson, the guy the assassin,
Tyler Robinson. Yes.
Yeah. So if I'm trying to do what Robinson did, and I listen to Obama speaking, I may not be discouraged from doing the same. Yeah, I'll feel like, yes, I'm doing something wrong, but maybe I'm a martyr, because we don't need people who speak like this. And also the cherry picking of information, because some of the things that Obama was highlighting about Charlie Kirk, some of them he quoted out of context.
Okay, let's listen to what Obama had to say.
Obviously, I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I was generally aware of some of his ideas. I think those ideas were wrong, but that doesn't negate the fact that what happened was a tragedy, and that I mourn for him and his family. He's a young man with 2 small children and a wife who obviously, and a huge number of friends and supporters who cared about him. And so we have to extend grace to people during their period of mourning and shock. We can also, at the same time, say that I disagree with the idea that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. That's not me politicizing the issue. It's making an observation about who are we as a country. I can say that I disagree with the suggestion that my wife or Justice Jackson does not have adequate brain processing power. I can say that I disagree that Martin Luther King was awful. I can disagree with some of the broader suggestions that liberals and Democrats are promoting a conspiracy to displace whites and replace them by ushering in illegal immigrants. Those are all topics that we have to be able to discuss honestly and forthrightly, while we still insist that in that process of debate, we respect other people's right to say things that we profoundly disagree with. That's how we should approach this.
Okay.
I think I already said it, because I feel like there are 2 faces to this to this speech. One that is showing a mourning side of it, but then the other side is still coming out strong against the deceased. First of all, I think it's maybe premature to come out strong against someone. It's a way of like, it doesn't appeal to what we call emotional intelligence, because people are mourning, people are family, people are supporting this person are mourning, and then you're still coming out, and you're hard on him. Obviously, he's not a perfect person. I believe I've also watched some of his videos, and some of them sometimes I felt like it was too extreme. I may not quote one for now, but I felt like it was extreme in some things. Yeah, but then also, it's not the right time. At least the guy is barely buried, and you are rubbing salt to injury for the people who like mourning, like so it doesn't help. I don't think that appeals to what we call emotional intelligence. But also beyond that, I feel like, yes, you are mourning, but then you're actually trying to show that this guy was not a good person. And from the unassassin's my side, I would believe this person is looking at, okay, I think I did the right thing. They feel justified.
Yeah, so I think the thing is to keep in mind is that nobody on earth is perfect, and so I'm not saying that there's everything. I'm not saying I agree with everything that Charlie Kirk says because I don't. I don't agree with everything anybody says. We've talked about this before in previous videos that, for example, people look at Mother Teresa as being a great woman who did great things, but there are others who have criticized her because she had a view about suffering that caused her to allow some people to go through more suffering than maybe they should have. So she wasn't a perfect person. Does that mean that because she was not perfect or that she made mistakes, that destroys her entire legacy? And I don't think it does. And you could talk about anybody in, anybody in history, because nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But I wanted to comment though too about a couple things I noticed in the video is that people applauded when every time Obama said, I didn't agree with what he said, some of the things he said was wrong, we can criticize him for this, people applauded. But when he said, his death was horrible, tragedy. Nobody applauded. It's like, why wouldn't you applaud more for that than you would about his statements about the areas where you disagreed with him on? So that was one thing I noticed. The second thing that I noticed is that Obama listed a bunch of things on the end that Charlie Kirk said. And we don't really have time to go through all of these one by one. But what I want to do is, he said that Charlie Kirk said that the Civil Rights Act of the 1960s was a mistake. Let's see what Charlie Kirk actually said in full context.
You said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. What do you mean by that? Yeah, so the parts of the Civil Rights Act were great, but the way it's now being implemented to force men in female bathrooms to push forward of the trans agenda, the intent of the Civil Rights Act is way beyond what it was originally authored for.
But the intent specifically originally was to...
Well, that's it. So the intent and the law are two different things. So the intent was noble, which was to say that no American can be not allowed into a place of business based on the color of their skin or their ethnic heritage. Totally agreement with that. That's not what the law only did. It created a massive anti-racist DEI army that then gave us affirmative action. For example, recently Merrick Garland sued using the Civil Rights Act, saying that we cannot have voter ID in certain states because it's a violation of the Civil Rights Act. So basically what the Civil Rights Act did is that it went beyond disparate impact and then went to disparate effect. In the sense where if black Americans are not doing as well as white Americans in a certain category, you can now use the Civil Rights Act and say that's a violation of the Civil Rights Act, even though there might be other contributing factors. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's too broad, too wide, and it's now doing a lot of damage to the country. It's being used well beyond its original intent.
Well beyond its original intent. Okay. He didn't actually say that the Civil Rights Act or the intention behind it was a mistake, because he supports the idea behind it that you should not be able to forbid people from going into places of business based on the color of their skin. You shouldn't be able to discriminate against people based on the color of their skin.
Before we continue, I believe, because this was a debate he had with a young man, I feel, and the guy said, you quoted him, you said it was a mistake. So probably prior, he had said this, he had said it was a mistake, and maybe he didn't explain well enough.
It's possible. We have to find that one.
So maybe there could be others. So I'm imagining some of our viewers could quote and throw us this at us.
Yeah.
But I think he has said it before, and maybe he didn't explain well.
Yeah, and he does say that he supports the intent of the Civil Rights Act, which was that you should not be able to discriminate against people based on the color of their skin. So he actually agrees with that. What he has a problem with is how it's been implemented and how it's been used today, which is different than saying that the Civil Rights Act itself or its intention was a mistake. But then again, this is not the original, so we have to go back. Maybe we can find that video. If somebody knows where we can find that video, please suggest it in the comments. And
no, but I think he has tried to come clean. So I think even this video is in a sense original because it's him, and he has clarified his stand. So maybe the prior time when he had made the statements, he didn't come clear, and people didn't understand him, and maybe they misunderstood. But if he has gone ahead and tried to explain his position, then we want to respect it. And I'm imagining by the time Obama was speaking about this particular video was already out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he wouldn't have recorded it when he's gone.
All right. So we have more comments.
I feel like you're running out of steam.
You feel like I probably am. Are you too?
I was already running out of steam before we started.
So, I mean, we have some more comments. I did not expect we were going to take so long. Paul going over just a couple comments here. We have more that I wanted to respond to. And I was thinking we would maybe start out by responding to comments, then we'd move into kind of a next topic like we've done in the past. But I think because this generated so much discussion, and we appreciate that, all the people that responded, because this is what we want. We want people to engage with us. We want people to disagree with us. We want different perspectives and points of views. We want this. This is exactly what we want. We want these kind of discussions. And but I think the concern is now we're kind of running out of time, and you've already had a long day, and you're getting tired. And I think I'm running out of steam myself a little bit too. It's late in the day here.
You know, we can't respond to every comment we have. Ideally, on our side, what we do as freedom to speak is that we give our opinion, and I think our opinion is already out there. So yeah, other people can give us their opinions in the comments.
This is already turning into a long video, so we will wrap this up. And again, I mentioned this last week that I had another video planned for last week that was supposed to be from a deleted clip that we did from 2 weeks ago when we talked to Fred about the stigma of addiction. I'm going to push that video back again to next week. And so that video is still coming out, but it's just that this topic has just seemed to generate a lot more interest and a lot more discussion. We decided to continue it, and I didn't really expect it to take this long. So, but we'll wrap this up for now. And
all right, thank you. All right, thank you very much, Robert. Thank you very much, our viewers, and we thank you for staying with us. Keep doing it. Encourage others, and keep commenting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll see you in another 7 days. Bye.
Can anybody tell me what's going on?